brought to a dignified place of existence and livelihood, with or without oil wealth. In my view, the theme for this forum aptly captures the yearnings of the moment and could not have come at a better time. Our proposal to diversify the economy and win the nation away from dependence on petroleum is a matter of firm and binding commitment that the Buhari administration does not take lightly at all. If ever we needed additional impetus, I think it has now presented itself. Our nation's revenues and our ability to tackle the developmental needs have dwindled significantly as the price of oil has dipped. Almost exclusive reliance on petroleum is therefore very clearly unsustainable. But the potentials of our great country go well beyond petroleum. This is why diversification is no longer a mantra for us. It is a definitive course of action. From agriculture to solid minerals, technology, retail, manufacturing, and so on. This administration is committed to providing the enabling environment for comprehensive growth and development. I am convinced that we have the human resources and the market to make it happen. For this region in particular, the overarching concern is how to use what we have today to invent the future of the Niger Delta. The strategic and statutory role of NDDC in achieving this cannot be overemphasized. Given the prevailing economic outlook, most people would expect the coming budget year to be tough. Clearly, we have to be tough on cutting waste and using our limited resources in the most efficient manner. There will be no forgiveness for us if we avoid making the hard choices now. Nor will there be forgiveness for other tiers of government if they fail to recognize the big need to invest in people and infrastructure, while supporting a people-oriented context for reform. Building critical infrastructure, assisting business entrepreneurs, promoting agriculture and solid minerals exploitation, as well as implementing many other programs that will lift the poor out of poverty will be our key priorities. In all cases, the ultimate goal must be to promote the security and the well-being of our people. This is why we must also start weaving a reliable safety net that is capable of catching the vulnerable and the very poor in our society. In doing this, I must also say that the federal government cannot carry the burden alone. State and local governments are expected to be in active collaboration with a view to getting the benefits of social protection to a wider section of our people. It is also expected that the private sector will participate actively in our infrastructure development programs as key providers of capital and enterprise. We can only succeed in the realization of these plans when every segment of society is called upon to do its bit in the national interest. For instance, investing in better infrastructure creates the impetus for growth and improves the efficiency of our industry and commerce. In a direct way, it also improves the welfare and happiness of the people. It is the consensus of all observers that infrastructure is pivotal to getting our nation moving efficiently and competitively. To cut our infrastructure deficit, it will be necessary to unlock private sector investment and expand its role and participation, especially in the provision of housing and transport infrastructure. Government's capacity to fund infrastructure through traditional financing methods alone will simply not be enough, considering falling oil revenues and ever-growing expenditure demands. Meanwhile, the cost of construction spirals upwards, and we now all talk of million-dollar projects where we used to speak of millions. I think that this is something worthwhile we can stretch ourselves and leverage our resources to achieve. Delivering economically productive infrastructure means that we have to be more creative in how we plan and fund capital projects to ensure that scarce resources are deployed prudently in such a way as to return the greatest benefit to the economy and the public. This is why we are establishing an infrastructure fund that collaborates with institutional investors and private contractors to deliver Nigeria's critical infrastructure needs in a smoother, predictable, and more reliable manner. Across the Niger Delta region, safe and efficient transportation networks are of crucial importance in keeping communities connected and the supply chain moving to and from our major import-export hubs. It is by paying attention to these that we build a strong economy and improve the potentials and the welfare of our people. In the same vein, our agricultural production will more than double in 3 years. Energy self-sufficiency and the potential for major export contracts are also here with the steady development of gas reserves in this region. At the same time, we must rapidly develop in the area of renewable energy, especially with solar and wind, all of which capitalize on our natural advantages. All these opportunities for growth are here within our regions, our states, and our local governments. Harnessing the talent of the people of the Niger Delta, linking regional enterprises to markets, and putting in place skills development programs in the region and states to meet demand is something we must now seek to achieve without further delay. In working toward all this, I must again stress the need for collaboration among different sectors of society, not only to achieve sustainable development, but also to find lasting peace, unity, and security in an atmosphere of law and order. Again, I must congratulate NDDC for this initiative, for the states, businesses, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, public sector agencies who are all represented here, our youths. We must seek to influence that which will bring about inclusive and sustainable development for the people of the Niger Delta. Our programs and actions must be creative, purpose-driven, to turn around the current drawbacks in our educational, job creation, health, infrastructure, and environmental sectors. Speaking of environmental degradation, I will not conclude this address without mentioning President Buhari's quick efforts at connecting the dots between campaign promises and policy actualization. Our administration has already commenced work on the cleanup of the Ogoni area and other seriously affected communities. In this regard, our goal is to ensure that we protect the environment as well as apply remediation measures to alleviate the impact in already polluted areas. Once again, I thank you all, and indeed, I thank each and every stakeholder here present for making time to attend this very important event. As you deliberate on these topical issues, I urge you to ensure the development of a comprehensive and realistic action plan for each and every stakeholder, which can be followed through by quick implementation. It is now my pleasure to declare this forum open. Thank you very much.
Please put our hands together. His Excellency, the Vice President of Nigeria, Deputy President Program, Deputy Chief of Staff. Thank you very much, sir. His Excellency, the Vice President, Uncle Briggs, Akapibandi Rights Organization, to speak on behalf of the women of the Niger Delta.
I stand on all existing protocols. Very quickly, I've been given 2 minutes, so I will try and stay within the 2 minutes. I want to congratulate my brother, Imafidon, Professor Imafidon, for once again reminding us in Niger Delta what we do know, that we do have all the capacity in the world to develop the Niger Delta. What we do lack, though, is the means to develop the Niger Delta, which has been long taken away from us. I want to also use certain specific words and stay away from certain specific words. I think in the Niger Delta, we have proven our point many years back. And we have also demonstrated and want to continue to demonstrate that we have all the intellectual capacity we need to argue and discuss the development of the Niger Delta. And we do have the people also with the technology and the know-how to develop the Niger Delta. I personally am very convinced that we do not need, as the people, anybody to develop the Niger Delta for us. What we need, though, is for us to be able to agree within ourselves what is it exactly we want in the Niger Delta and how we're going to go about the development of the Niger Delta. Now, there is no doubt in the mind of the federal government and in the NDDC and in the oil companies and the state government and the local government and especially the people of the Niger Delta, that the Niger Delta Development Commission, which actually is a deceit, it should actually be Oil Producing States Development Commission. That way we know that it is about oil producing states. Now we know how much monies are being owed us, and we demand, and that's why I said I will use specific words, we will not appeal, we will demand that these monies are paid and that they are paid immediately to the agencies to which they are owed, so that the development of the Niger Delta will continue. Having said that, the NDDC knows, and ought to know if it doesn't, that it is not really a development agency. It is an intervention agency. The development is the responsibility of government. It is the right of the people to demand for this development. It is the responsibility of government to deliver this development. Any people who are not prepared to fight and agitate and get their development do not deserve to complain. Any government that do not engage the people to give the people the dividends of democracy and politics do not deserve to be a government. As stakeholders, we are the owners of this commission. We are the owners of how it will be driven. It is better late than never, because these meetings that we're holding today should actually be held on a yearly basis as an AGM, if you like, so that we the owners will see whether these developments are actually going on or they are not going on. Very quickly, before I'm rounding up now, politicians and government and the NDDC itself has given the Niger Delta people the wrong impression of what it is meant to do. In referring to my children, my sons, the youths of the Niger Delta, because I am a 63-year-old woman, so I can call the youths of the Niger Delta my sons. They are not rested, and quite honestly, these youths, if given the same opportunities, like the 6-year-old who wrote a book, we have children in the Niger Delta that can write those books at 6. Then the opportunity is what we're talking about here. Sustainable development, therefore, is not, I repeat, is not a gift to any region to which it is due. But speaking of the Niger Delta region, sustainable development is not a gift. We're not begging for it. We're not appealing for it. We are demanding that we have the opportunity for sustainable development. That we are today talking about post-oil wealth is heartbreaking to me. It is heartbreaking to me because we have not benefited from the oil wealth, irrespective of 13%. That's another time if I'm invited. But to be talking about post gives me horrors, because it means we have accepted that us benefiting from the oil that Nigeria and the oil company has been exploring and exploiting for over 50 years, that we can possibly have a reasonable amount of it to develop the Niger Delta is beginning to look like a very far-fetched thing from where I am standing. And that is why I demand from the federal government that it pays every cover. And please, this Niger Delta is not about party politics. It's not about PDP or APC. It is about the people of the Niger Delta. And the people of the Niger Delta own the political parties wherever they are. Therefore, it is not about which party you support. It is about the local government you come from. It is about the state you come from, and the roads that lead there, and the bridges that should lead there that are not there. I speak authoritatively on the Niger Delta. I was raised in the creeks of the Niger Delta. I went to primary school in Aponima. Nobody, I repeat, nobody, oil companies, federal government, state government, nobody can teach me about the Niger Delta or the pains of my people or the neglect of my people. We demand that all monies that is owed the Development Commission be given. When it is given, we the people will hold the Niger Delta Development Commission responsible for those monies. Thank you very much.
Our own Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Dr. Itotona Henry Ogiri. Please come and thank everybody here for attending your program. Welcome, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. The representative to the Vice President, our distinguished Senator and Chairman of the NDDC, let me stand on existing protocol. Ladies and gentlemen, my job is an easy one. I have also been helped by my MD. He's done a great deal of the thanking, and so we'll thank God for that. But to say that I'm delighted to be called upon to say thank you to all the stakeholders that have been invited here to deliberate on a very important topic: how to develop strategies to ensure the sustainability of the development we seek after in the Niger Delta region. Now, let me say that the challenge of poverty, environmental degradation, healthcare, education that bedevils the Niger Delta region are all linked to the purpose for which we are all gathered today. And the very essence and the people who will ensure that these challenges are addressed are all seated here today. So I want to say, give yourselves a clap offering. Now, if you pick any literature, most of the introduction you will see about the Niger Delta region is that of the paradox of people in poverty in the midst of plenty. Everywhere you turn to, you will see that. Why is it so? That means there are great potentials in the Niger Delta region to develop even better than what we are doing today. And so, today we will be saying thank you to the various stakeholders that are here and even those that are not here. Who are these stakeholders? We have the government, both federal, state, and local government. We want to say thank you to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, for sustaining the spirit of the NDDC. I thought that would deserve a clap of. Now let me, in a special way, thank yet another arm of the stakeholder. If you pick a big circle, if you draw a big circle and put a dot at the center of it, that dot represents NDDC. Now connect it around. You will see the government on one side, you will see the oil companies on one side, you see the National Assembly, you see market women, the youth groups, you will see contractors, you will see the traditional rulers, you will see different interest groups. All these are what we refer to as the stakeholders of the Niger Delta region. And so our duty is to thank all these various stakeholders. We have also remembered the National Assembly. Our committee chairman, Honorable Nicholas Mutu, is also here. The budget of the NDDC is the responsibility of the National Assembly, and they have been doing justice to that. So we say thank you, distinguished. Let me also say a big thank you to my MD, Chief Basit and Abia, who have been piloting the affairs of the NDDC, and to say that this forum, I believe, will create a new vista for the development of the region. Thank you very much, sir. I would, in like manner, want to extend our thank you to our traditional rulers who are the custodians of our various traditions, the youth, and even the companies that operate in their various communities. Thank you, Your Majesties. Let me thank the multinationals who are partnering with the NDDC in developing the region. Shell in particular has been doing wonderfully well. Recently, we had a meeting about the Obianembe Road, a mega star project of the NDDC that is 90% completed. It is a masterpiece and it cost billions and billions of naira. Thank you very much, SPDC. Let me also extend a thank you to the youths for maintaining the peace in the Niger Delta region, because without peace there can be no development. The sustainability we are talking about will not be possible without peace in the Niger Delta region. And so insurance and so forth and so on, NDDC stakeholders are numerous. Won't be forum. There will be new opportunities for us to partner and collaborate to effectively push the developmental agenda of the NDDC closer to our people. Thank you to the press. The press has been, and particularly there is a program we call the Niger Delta Volunteer Service. Here, the use of the Niger Delta engaged to ensure that there are prompt information on issues that could threaten the sustainability of the peace of the region. I think the MD also mentioned it. We want to say thank you. And for the staff and management of NDDC, we want to say thank you for your work. They have been those behind the scene, driving the various programs and schemes of the Commission. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a very, very fruitful deliberations as we proceed to the next stage of this ceremony. Thank you, and God bless you.
Prove where we are, how to deliver value, how to create the kind of enabling environment that will enable the delivery of the mission of NDDC. Also, when the Vice President's speech was read out, I listened carefully, and there we were told that the objective of government is to actually create practical solutions for our issues, for real issues, real world issues. He also told us clearly that in times like this, I mean, the oil price, we know where it is, we know where things are even with the national economy. And he said that in times like this, we need to be very creative. So putting all this together, I just want to share my own view on how I think we can, through effective partnership and collaboration, actually change the story of Niger Delta and move it from potential to reality, because that for me is very important. And I'm speaking as someone who works in the oil industry, but beyond that, I'm also speaking as a Nigerian and a Niger Delta. So I'm very sure nobody will blame me as, oh, they just told him what to say. You know, he's just here to tell us the story. That's not true. This is also my reality. And for Niger Delta, yes, I work in oil and gas, but my plan is whenever I finish what I'm doing, I'll still retire and stay in the Niger Delta. So believe me, I'm telling you what I think can make us move from where we are today to a better place, in line with what Prof. Imafidon told us. Next slide. I'm sure you're not supposed to read this. Okay, this one. So there are 3 levels when you talk about sustainable development. and you can partner and collaborate at any of these 3 levels. The first one is, before I progress, let me just say something. I'm also making this presentation on behalf of my joint venture partners. I have my senior partners from NAPIMS here, so when I say we, the town, please avoid it if you can. Is that the way to live? Yeah. These days when you're out of town and you get a phone call, whether I like it or not, the first problem is hope everybody are left at home is fine. Am I the only one who sees that? It's true, and it shouldn't be. That's not what Prof Imafidon was so proud of, no. But that's our reality, and we'll have to move that reality to a better place. You look at unemployment, so many people are unemployed. I was looking at the data from National Bureau of Statistics saying about 28% of the labor force are unemployed or underemployed. And that's just the data they have. There are lots of other ones they've not captured, but that is a lot, and most of them are youth. Next slide. What we've done, living by our principles, working with communities and governments, we can do. Next slide. So, just some pictures about how we contribute to the national economy. Last year, our daily energy for industrialization. 90% companies in 2014, and that's quite a lot. Yeah, helping to build capacity. Then they have found 6 power plants, which supplies almost 18% of the nation's grid-connected electricity as 2014. These are Abuja to show what we are doing in the sustainability space so that senior government officials and other stakeholders can see it. And they went around the booth, saw what we are doing, and there was one question that kept recurring. And the question was, oh, this is good, I like these schools you're building, but there's none in my village. I like this thing you guys are doing, but there's none in my local government area. So, yes, I like it, but until you do one for me, I won't be able to fully acknowledge what you're doing. But the reality is, how many can you do? And that's where effective collaboration and partnership can come into play. Somewhere in Bayelsa State, another very massive project that has really helped to engender sustainability, working with our JV partners until they finish whatever level of education they want to get involved in. So that's, for me, is the height of it in terms of our scholarship offering. One of the most exciting Sundays I've had in a long time. I was in a hall like this with over 100 kids, and we were just talking, you know. So, and what we told ourselves, be able to visit them from where we brought them from. So we have taken it upon ourselves to also bridge that gap. And I spent over 1 hour. There's nothing they did not tell me. Yeah, from what happens when they go to the clinic, to the kind of food they are given, to their laptops that have not been repaired on time. And for me, it was exciting. And we took all those things, and the next week we were sitting with the school authority saying, how can we fix it for these children? We had a Discovery Channel global partnership which supported 18 audio-visual centers, and we also have our health and motion program. Next slide. Structure, electricity supply, water scheme, expectation versus reality. You know, if you ask most people, they'll say, well, to cover everywhere at once. And that's where we need that patience, we need more collaboration, we need partnership. It's to produce more water. So that's where we are with sustainability in Nigeria. The value is not enough to go around, so people also have to understand. And like I tell them, there's one particular activity I'm driving now with one community, and it's a bit very complicated, and I've said, look, you have an option if you don't get what you want today. And the option is to pull the house down because you've not got it and spoil everything, or to be patient and say, okay, if I'm patient and allow this phase to go through, maybe I will be part of the next phase. And I always advocate the second approach, not the first one. Next, for myself, as the General Manager of External Relations for Share, I speak for all the IOCs, all the oil companies. Sometimes we get it wrong because we don't take time to understand what's driving the person on the other side. So if you look at the people in NAPIMS, the people in Shell, ExxonMobil, most of us are Nigerians. When I listen to people talk about me sometimes, I look at myself and say, are you Dutch? And I say, no, I'm still Nigerian. And what people don't understand is that thing you need is exactly what's driving us also. We are not going away. This is our reality. So we're also doing our best from within where we operate to create the most value we can from the work we do. Please understand that that is absolutely important for us. And if you can't get what you want today,